if you take a look at the stock of Nvidia, which we all think is an unbelievably good stock.
Oh, we think it's an unbelievably good company.
Right. Okay, so
I'll allow you to say it's an unbelievably good stock.
A year ago, the stock looked like it was selling it at 50 times forward earnings. Okay. It turned out to be selling at 20 times earnings because Nvidia far exceeded what anyone thought it could do. So you could have bought that stock at 20 times earnings last year. You could have bought it at 18 times earnings before the big ramp in May. And we sit here and we think, what an overvalued stock. It turned out to be undervalued.
Right.
It turned out to be radically undervalued versus the S&P, versus General Mills. Doesn't that show you that?
Okay, but that is a unique, perhaps once in a lifetime kind of move, increase in earnings. I mean, they came into 23. Analysts were expecting like 20-something billion in earnings. They did 60.
But I'm saying that if that's able to do that, maybe we are being too negative. That Nvidia, the greatest story of all time, arguably, turned out to be very cheap. That's not supposed to be. That means that maybe.
And as a result, every other name is cheap?
No,
AppLovin is cheap. Reddit is cheap.
Can I finish? No, people say, I want the next Nvidia. And it might be Reddit. Maybe it's AppLovin. That's all that's happening. And who am I to squelch?
I'll tell you who you are. You're a guy who's been on TV yapping about this stuff for 20-something years. You ran a hedge fund.
26.
And on and on. And I could easily see you sitting here in 10 minutes and saying these things are all completely hot air.
Well, no, I'm saying that those are two different things. There's a dichotomy, okay? There are people who say, I want the next Nvidia at $3.5 trillion, and there are companies that could be the next Nvidia. But people are not discerning. They are saying, you know what? Maybe Joby is for real.
First of all, there's not going to be another Nvidia.
How many do you think there are?
There's only one.
There are many people who buy lottery tickets every single day.
Oh, so now we're playing the lottery.
Really? Joby. We're into flying cars. Why not?
Okay.
And we know what the total addressable market
all right.
be.
Look, there's a person. I'm going to tell you a wild story.
Really?
Do you know that there's a man who has maybe the largest supercomputer in the world in Tennessee?
I do,
and
actually.
he spent a fortune on NVIDIA chips.
I know a lot about that,
Maybe
yes.
tens of billions of dollars.
No, not tens of billions. Yeah, not yet.
Hundreds.
No. He's going to spend $10 billion.
And he's developing.
Chips. Yeah,
I'm going to make David live. He's developing humanoids. How crazy is that? David, I'm saying that the crazy stuff is paying off in many humanoids. Right. Elon Musk is developing humanoids. There's two billionaires fighting against each other, right? In tweets.
Bezos and Musk, you're talking about.
And these guys, and I want a piece of that.
I'll tell you one thing.
Everyone wants a piece of the action.
In the vibrant world of stock markets, buzzworthy news often sparks excitement and intrigue, with investors eagerly awaiting the next big revelation. Today, the spotlight is on Nvidia, a titan in the tech industry, renowned for its unparalleled innovation in graphics processing technology. The company has recently released a groundbreaking report for its fiscal 2025 third quarter, surpassing Wall Street's wildest expectations. With its introduction of the game-changing Blackwell architecture GPUs, Nvidia continues to dominate the AI development landscape, even as demand for its products soars beyond supply. Innovators like Microsoft, Amazon, and Oracle eagerly adopt these advancements, but surprisingly, Nvidia's stock took a slight dip in after-hours trading. What lies behind this curious market reaction, and what potential does Nvidia hold for future growth? Let's delve into the details of this captivating development. Welcome back, everyone, to Investocracy.
You put money now, Julie Beal, as between the semis and the software stocks. Where would you go?
Still think that software is a much better place to be. Because these are more profitable businesses. They have much better levels of recurring revenue. They're less capital intensive. They're less cyclical often. So I'm always going to prefer, all things neutral, I'm going to want to prefer a software name. But I think what's interesting to me is just this dynamic that we're seeing with NVIDIA and then everyone else. It's a little bit reminiscent of the telecom boom that we saw. I don't think that is necessarily sustainable over the much longer term. I think in the near term, they can continue to be dominant, but longer term, you should see a broadening within semis.
Is Is there something wrong with those other stocks that haven't participated among the chips? Or is it just that NVIDIA is doing everything right, or has this immense tailwind moving it forward?
I think that the average semi company does not have this moat of development that they do, where the actual programming language is something that you learn and it's something that you build around. Very few semiconductor stocks, particularly if they're not analog stocks, have that. And that really is the core differentiation, because it doesn't just solidify the current business, it really paves the road for the future business.
The financial world is buzzing with conversation about NVIDIA's latest achievements, and for good reason. As the world's leading supplier of GPUs, NVIDIA has become the backbone of modern AI infrastructure, likened humorously by some to being the fuel in the rocket ship of tech innovations. With the recent introduction of its Blackwell architecture GPUs, NVIDIA has once again set a benchmark for performance, enabling AI inference 30 times faster than its predecessors. These GPUs, while costing double compared to earlier models, offer exponential increases in processing capabilities, making them an attractive proposition for AI developers. In its recent earnings report, NVIDIA blew past expectations, reporting a staggering $35.1 billion in total revenue for the third quarter, a 94% increase from the prior year. This phenomenal growth was primarily driven by its data center segment, which itself saw a 112% jump. Despite this, the stock dipped 2.5% post-announcement, an unexpected turn given the company's palpable success. Analysts believe this pullback may be a simple case of profit-taking, considering NVIDIA's stock has seen a massive 202% surge this year. But before we go any further, if you want to keep up with NVIDIA's latest updates and keep up with the stock market's latest news, you can follow our Twitter account. We post multiple times daily about the biggest changes and catalysts in the market, so click the follow button if you don't want to miss the newest market updates. Now back to the video.
Speak to what's working and what's not, what's overhyped, and what actually is going to deliver on the promise.
Well, great question. We look at Nvidia, for example, right? We saw the earnings yesterday. How long can they sustain such monster, kind of quarters? And what I would say is, if we want to see that kind of sustaining blowout quarters, quarter after quarter for say the next 2-3 years, what we're going to have to see is a shift just from the demand being consumer side. Right now, we're seeing most of the demand paying $20 a month using OpenAI. That's a good initial start for AI. But that's not going to sustain Nvidia going to 5, 6, 7 trillion in market cap. What do we need to see that? We need to see different sovereign entities, that is, different countries wanting to build their own data centers. Jensen mentioned this in his earnings. He knows that's one of the critical things. Number two, we need to see really big business actually using AI, not just consumers. We haven't seen that shift yet.
So I
was going to say, that's why Jensen's trip to Japan was so interesting, right? And he's been talking about sovereigns for a long time. Yeah. But this was a real step to say we're not just about these 4 hyperscalers.
Right. And let's look at the Gulf region. So you're going to see a lot
exactly
in the Gulf.
Where I was going with you. Because we have restrictions in place, and those need to be lifted potentially.
Right. We just came back from Riyadh, just came back from Abu Dhabi, just landed a few days ago. And what we're seeing is Riyadh made a big announcement with Google as an example. They're contracting to use many more TPUs from Google, but also GPUs from Nvidia, right? They want to have as many as possible. You're going to see the Emirates make more and more announcements there as well. But we also need to see the largest global 1,000 companies really shift into AI, again, not just on customer service, but product development. And that means quantitative AI, not language AI. AI that knows biology, knows how to make a new drug, like Sanofi, and other kind of companies using AI now to make actual new product. That's what we haven't seen in big numbers yet.
NVIDIA's future outlook remains strong, with industry predictions suggesting it will trade at a forward PE ratio that suggests room for significant growth. Analysts expect NVIDIA's earnings per share to rise, bolstered by forecasts of an unprecedented scale-up in Blackwell GPU shipments, as major tech players are poised to spend billions on robust AI infrastructure in the coming year. While historical trends from NVIDIA's induction into the Dow Jones Industrial Average suggest moderate returns, the unique confluence of AI demand and NVIDIA's dominance hints at even more substantial gains. Furthermore, CEO Jensen Huang's declaration of staggering demand underscores the vigorous market appetite for NVIDIA's offerings. The broader AI ecosystem is evolving in complexity and scale, and NVIDIA's GPUs are at the heart of this transformation. With a host of large enterprises seeking to harness and deploy AI capabilities, NVIDIA is not only thriving on the hardware front, but also expanding in the software arena. NVIDIA AI Enterprise is seeing rapid adoption, underscoring NVIDIA's integral role in both hardware and software aspects of AI. Jokes aside about needing a second mortgage to afford one of these GPUs, the reality is that NVIDIA has positioned itself as the stalwart of the AI revolution, earning a formidable edge that competitors like AMD and Intel are striving to match. With its comprehensive approach to AI solutions, NVIDIA's influence is pervasive, reflecting a strategy that monopolizes cutting-edge technology. But before going any further, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
Maybe even talk about the underperformance of semis, although maybe this is that conversation right now. So it's partially because I think we've priced in so much good news that you had a day after the day after on Nvidia. In other words, stock finally did give up a little bit of ground.
Nvidia was down today, right? Yeah, it didn't. There it is.
But I as we argued even yesterday, and I think even the 3.4% move today is something that, all things considered, the zoom into those numbers, the fact that I think they kind of downshifted successfully in terms of the guide. But software is moving because it is really seen as the next reverberation out. You throw a pebble in the water, Guy, what happens?
You get ripple effects.
Okay, you get ripple effects, and that's really what I think is happening. No, but I mean,
then the ripples go away.
The ripples go away eventually, and I think at some point what we've seen other times is software has actually followed semis, and I think that's happened again. I think software, ton of upgrades this week, but we heard it from everybody, from Snowflake, even Datadog, who I think 6% of their ARR is actually an AI customer base, yet that base tripled in the last year. That's the kind of thing you do in software, and none of these valuations make sense. And we've talked about this with Palantir. I think it was 38 times forward sales, which is absurd. But the argument here is that if you're playing AI, you're playing it through the enablers, and software platforms have different ways to do it. And frankly, that's the way a lot of the consumers are reaching out, but more importantly, enterprise is happening right now. And I think it continues.
Bonawyn, thoughts on the broader market hitting new highs on the Dow, the S&P within a hair of 6,000, or pick up on Tim's thinking on the semis versus software?
So I'm going to be defensive and offensive.
Okay.
So I'm going to avoid the question first and then answer it second.
Very nice.
So in terms of the broader market, listen, I think we're in essentially an everything rally right now. Going into the Nvidia print, I think a lot of us spoke about how we were a bit concerned about that. We'd like to see it perhaps trade a little flat or perhaps just be a bit more defensive in terms of posturing before going into that print. I think that kind of explains the move that we saw post-earnings because it was yet another blowout quarter. I think questions about Blackwell supply and ability and back ordering and pull forward of ordering there, I think those concerns have been assuaged. And then in terms of the divergence between what we're seeing from SMH and I Give Up, is, a lot of those names, let's take Salesforce, for example. The question was, and this is also with some of the hyperscalers, this AI-related CapEx spend needs to be justified. That was the prevailing wisdom at the time. And these companies were coming under pressure because investors really didn't feel like they had an accurate answer to that question. You saw Salesforce trade off, I don't know what it was, 20, 25% post-earnings. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of those names had gotten beaten up coming into the print. And so that explains a bit of it. It's essentially you have like a star player like Nvidia dragging up the rest of the balance. And so you've kind of been mired in that drag because, again, there's been a massive divergence between AI-related CapEx spend and then CapEx spend going forward.
The current landscape paints NVIDIA not just as a company that delivers impressive numbers, but as a visionary leader forging the future of AI technology. As the company's financial prowess and market influence continue to ascend, NVIDIA stands as a captivating opportunity for investors with a long-term perspective. Short-term fluctuations and profit-taking notwithstanding, the company's robust performance metrics and strategic product pipeline suggest a promising trajectory in the AI domain. The stock's historical underperformance in comparison to the S&P 500 following Dow Jones inclusion is overshadowed by NVIDIA's unique position in an expanding market. With NVIDIA's cutting-edge developments in hardware and software making waves, investing in its stock positions investors at the forefront of technological advancement. As AI applications burgeon across industries, NVIDIA's comprehensive integration into these systems predicts sustained, even meteoric growth. Now, as NVIDIA charts a course into uncharted territories of innovation, what are your thoughts on its potential to redefine the future? How do you perceive its role in shaping the next wave of technological evolution? And finally, if you would like to know what companies like NVIDIA have been up to these past few days, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.